Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Here to talk all things hockey are your hosts, Brad Crisco, Ryan Hanna, and Evan Lobsinger.
I know we've done a lot of, whining is probably an aggressive word, but we've done a lot of complaining about how crazy things get during like a condensed COVID year. You know, we had the draft and the cup finals and a bunch of other stuff happen pretty much all within like a 2-week span. The expansion draft, that's what it was. And we're like, this is crazy. It is insane amount of work to like keep up with this content. Obviously, we loved it the whole way, but we were like, man, we're burnt out. I would rather go back to that than the heat we're dealing with right now.
I would trade the heat for that, yeah.
Oh, the studio is in a room in a 1.5 story, and we are, you know, in the upstairs. And it is 90 degrees in freedom units, 30 whatever that is in Celsius. We usually don't have the AC going during the episode just because of the, you know, for audio quality, but I don't care how much post I have to do today. It's just, I'm sweating buckets already. Brad threatened to strip, and I was like, absolutely not.
The AC was on then.
Immediately on.
To be fair, I never said I wouldn't anyway. So
Brad, please. I want to be able to have kids someday.
Yeah, you can have mine.
Yeah, I'll take Hank. Hank's funny. Hank keeps you up, and that to me is
I still can't get over that. I'm so rattled.
Hank wasn't even at home, and he took Crystal's phone and he called him. It called Brad at 5:30 in the morning.
No, it was 5:05.
Yeah,
5:05 a.m.
That's...
He woke me up from 3 hours away.
That is hilarious.
Excellent content.
What a bully. I love it.
Oh, man. All right. Welcome to the Winged Wheel Podcast. A little bit sweltering, but still here to talk about the petty drama going on in the NHL. I'm Ryan Hanna.
I'm tired.
And I'm Evan.
It's funny that you said you're tired and Evan was the one yawning.
Teamwork.
Yeah.
Makes the dream work.
Speaking of teamwork, go us and the Carolina Hurricanes, because Carolina came in under the wire to give us the best off-season content ever. I was dying yesterday when that came through. On this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast, we're going to talk about the petty drama that is the revenge offer sheet to Jesperi Kotkaniemi that Carolina tendered and Kotkaniemi signed, which there's layers of hilarity in that. We'll be talking about, we forgot about the Svechnikov extension, which we should probably bring up because that was a fantastic contract for Carolina. A little bit of news regarding NHLers at the Olympics, and then some small Red Wings news before jumping into overtime. But first, of course, the Jamie Daniels Foundation, something we want to talk to you about. The more we talk about substance use disorder, the faster we can end the stigma and get support to those in need. The Jamie Daniels Foundation is a children's foundation initiative, and it was established in memory of Jamie Daniels and founded by Jamie's father and Red Wings lead announcer, Ken Daniels, and Jamie's mother, Lisa Daniels Goldman. The foundation strives to end the stigma of substance use disorder and provide support to those struggling with the disease or who are in recovery. To learn more and offer your support, visit jamiedanielsfoundation.org. All right. $6,135,035 is the 1-year offer sheet that Kotkaniemi signed, tendered by the Carolina Hurricanes, putting Mark Bergevin, who apparently was going on vacation this week, in a bit of a pickle. Man, I don't even know where to start with this one. We have to rewind to the Sebastian Aho offer sheet.
Do we want to start with the petty stuff or the serious conversation of should Montreal actually match it?
No, let's give the context here. Remind everyone about the Aho offer sheet and why this is happening.
Yeah, so a couple summers ago, Montreal, and of course...
Was it already a couple summers ago?
I feel like it was. Oh, it could have been a year ago. I don't know. It all was blended together on me. Montreal signed Sebastian Aho to a 5-year offer sheet in hopes to get Sebastian Aho, of course, being the NHL, the stupid old man league that it is. Everybody was up in arms. Not everybody. People with common sense were like, oh, great move to try and get a good player. You weren't aggressive enough in it, but we respect the hustle. And, of course, old hockey men were, how dare they try to steal this player? And from the looks of it, Carolina's owner was one of those people. And how dare they? As we found out. But obviously, since Carolina signed him to such a reasonable contract, or Montreal signed him to such a reasonable contract, Carolina immediately matched, but made Montreal wait it out the week so that they couldn't really do much else. And yeah, it was Carolina's social team. who we will give tons of praise in a minute, even sent out a tweet like a couple hours after Aho signed his offer sheet saying, should we match his contract? Yes or we? Those were the two options. So, for whatever it is, and then we'll get into the context of whether or not people should actually be mad about offer sheets later. But, yeah, that happened. And now, here we are.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit. This won't be new for listeners, but we'll talk about the whole philosophy around offer sheets and why it's the NHL is stupid and hates fun. Carolina really proved that wrong because I had a blast yesterday. So first of all, 2 years later, having this offer sheet signed is funny for multiple reasons. One, the petty revenge that came 2 years later means that they weren't going to do it while it didn't make sense, but they found an opportunity where Montreal was in a situation where it'd be hard to match. They really need that cap space, and 6.1 is too much for Kotkaniemi right now. I'm not saying he won't be worth that in the future, but we can all agree that's too much for Kotkaniemi at the moment.
Yes, but there's some context to that.
Man, this is so good. It's a 1-year deal. By signing this 1-year deal, they make Kotkaniemi's qualifying offer for the next season also $6.1 million. So who's to say Kotkaniemi is going to rise up and will be worth $6.1 million after one season? Based on his trajectory so far, not a bad player, but, still has a lot of work to do. He won't be worth that. Montreal doesn't have good centers in their system. They have Nick Suzuki, and Kotkaniemi was really the only, who's going to be their second line center if they lose him? Jake Evans?
Yes.
Yeah,
Jack Eichel.
Yeah. Or Jack Eichel.
Yeah, I mean, no, but yes.
It's actually Jacques Eichel.
Yeah. Get that CQ in there. It is a hysterical situation. They tweeted it out in a way where they knew everyone would lose their minds. Carolina then tweeted it out in French. Brad told me, I actually missed this one. Brad told me before the podcast, they tweeted out the Uno reverse card.
Yep, that was the entire tweet. Just a picture of an Uno reverse card.
Just content gold. They changed their Twitter bio to French.
Yep.
And we learned that this wasn't a Don Waddell, GM of the Carolina Hurricanes thing. This was more of a Tom Dundon, owner of the Carolina Hurricanes. Colorful character, to say the least. Very much suits what we know about him.
You also forgot to mention how much Jesperi Kotkaniemi's signing bonus was.
Yeah. The signing bonus was $20.
Who wears number 20 in Carolina,
I'm
Ryan?
just looking it up here. And it's Sebastian Aho.
Wow, what a coincidence.
And, I mean, this part's not petty. This part's just funny. But the whole contract ends in $35. 35 minus 20 leaves, 15 left over?
15. Who's number 15?
Take a guess, Evan.
Kotkaniemi?
Oh, man.
Wow.
This whole thing is as much of a hockey signing. It's even more of a 3-act play than it is a hockey signing.
Yeah, it's incredible. So I guess we'll get into the petty side of this, and then we'll get into the serious debate about it after. This is almost too much fun that I feel like this is going to ruin offer sheets going forward. I hope not.
100% agree.
Because one side of me goes, I love the entertainment factor of this. It's a calculated gamble by the Hurricanes, and we can argue whether or not it's a good gamble in a bit, but it's a calculated gamble that has a whole bunch of fun attached to it. And then they obviously masterfully played this up. And so all of the hockey world, not just Carolina, was getting entertainment value out of this. But the big but is, because this was clearly a revenge offer sheet and the way they hammed it up, makes me think it's going to make future GMs gun shy to do this. Because we've seen this type of thing before, obviously without the 3-act play on Twitter after, where teams, retaliated to other teams offer sheeting in more formal ways, not Brian Burke trying to fight Kevin Lowe in a barn, but,
Which I never thought would be topped.
Yet here we are. So yeah, it's a shame because I think teams should do this. And if you want a revenge offer sheet, teams, I think you should also do that. And I think an offer sheet properly done in the right context could be valuable to your team. I do not fault Marc Bergevin for when he did a Sebastian Aho. He tried to flex Montreal's financial muscle and acquire a really goddamn good player. And I don't know why people were so up in arms about that. You don't get a Sebastian Aho without a bold move. And he did it. Didn't work, but I respect the hustle. And then
didn't offer enough money.
Yeah, which is fine. And then Carolina's like, screw you, we're going to take one of your good players. I respect that hustle. This is how markets should work. This is how businesses should be run. This is how the NHL should operate. But seeing all of this, you know that it's going to limit offer sheets in the future because teams are going to be like, yeah, we could offer sheet Elias Pettersson, but what if they offer sheet Mo Seider in the future then? We can't risk that. Like, it's stupid. And I know not every GM is going to think that, but I know some GMs are going to think that. And it's annoying because what I would want is a team to offer sheet someone and then do exactly what Carolina did. Lean into it. It's an entertainment industry, and this is entertaining in the throes of August. It's perfect. So I love it. I wish more teams would do it, but I fear that this cost us more offer sheets in the future.
My thing, and I've been on this for a long time. I've said it on the podcast. I tweeted it out yesterday. I think they should lower compensation levels for offer sheets to encourage more offer sheets. Although now that I think about it, I think maybe that's not the best idea. Not for what you just mentioned. And I do think you have a good point. I do think offer sheets are going to become more, we're going to go through another 10-year spell without any or something like that. But I'm firmly in I like the salary cap camp. And this is coming from a fan of a team who's in the past demonstrated that they will spend an exorbitant amount of money in a non-cap era to ice a championship winning team, the 01-02 Red Wings, case in point. I'm a big proponent for the salary cap because I think it does a good job to bring in parity in the league. I think not every team is going to have the same amount of money. I don't like owners who have internal caps. I think that's stupid. What Eugene Melnyk has done in Ottawa, what Tom Dundon has done at times in Carolina, et cetera, et cetera. But overall, I like what it does to bring the entire league into play. So it's not just the major spenders who are the only viable teams. I feel like this is going to further squeeze teams who can't handle their cap properly. And they don't need coddling. I get that. And I don't think they need they don't need to be protected. They don't need to be helped. However, I just fear for a future where teams and agents are going to say, look how much the cap is hurting us in so many different ways. And now we're losing our good RFAs because of it. We have to get rid of the salary cap. There are a lot of really strong arguments for a soft cap or no cap. I personally don't agree with them, and I don't want to see the cap done away with. It's a little bit more like obscure worry, but in general, I don't want it to push on the cap even more.
I don't think you need to get rid of the cap for this store because I actually think the compensation in the offer sheet system right now is about right. Because you don't, for all the reasons you said, I agree. You don't want to see it too crazy because you don't want the small markets to just get pilfered of all their good players. But at the same time, you want them to consider letting a player walk if they're off sheet. If the Red Wings off sheet Pettersson right now at like $11 million, Vancouver has to go 4 first-round picks is a hell of a return. You want them to consider it, right? Because that's what makes it interesting. But if you have the salary cap, what this enforces is GMs to properly manage their salary cap, which then creates even more value on the cap space you have, which creates a more attractive trade market. So the funnel effect from there, or the, snowball effect from there, if you will, really does open up the possibilities if your team is managed properly. Yeah. Like, again, the Red Wings are a good example because the Red Wings could do anything right now. Sign a big free agent, make a big trade, offer sheet someone. There's value to that. And then obviously, as you get better, you still want to properly manage the cap, but ice a competitive team. And when you run into these unique circumstances where a team just runs themselves into the ground, then you get the fun conversations of, hey, maybe this is how we get a Pettersson. And maybe this is the time to strike. So, and again, it's exactly what's happening with Montreal right now with Kotkaniemi. Carolina's going, we can offer sheet this guy at 1 year.
Yeah.
And maybe get him. So it does open up the possibilities of the right circumstance at the right time. Because look at the one thing that surprised me about this is when I went back through the list of offer sheets in the past, there is way more than we think over the course of the salary cap era. But the reason people don't think about it is because almost all of them have been matched. Very few players have actually left via the offer sheet. The team that they belong to matched it. Shea Weber got offer sheeted, Ryan O'Reilly, David Backes, Dustin Penner, Thomas Vanek, and I'm forgetting some. There's been a lot of good players who have been offer sheeted, but none of them left. So you want that air of the right opportunity at the right time with a team that's mismanaged the cap, and then that player actually leaves that team. Because to transition this, if I'm Montreal, I'm not matching this.
First and a third. That's the compensation that Montreal would get at $6.1 million. Yeah. It's a first and a third. Had they gone, I think, 100,000 higher, it would have been a first, a second, and a third. But still, a first and a third round pick, or you pay Kotkaniemi $6.1035.
Yeah, and Kotkaniemi's a good player. He's not a great player. If you detach what Kotkaniemi is from his draft position, this is probably a no-brainer to let him walk and just take the first and the third round pick. One thing I hadn't considered that Friedman brought up was a good point. He's like, Montreal's probably already shopping those picks just to see what the value is. Hey,
for Eichel.
Yeah.
Christian Dvorak is what I immediately thought.
Yeah, and that's who
because
Friedman,
Arizona's going to be looking to have been talking about moving him anyway. Like
a first,
a third, maybe. I don't know what the Christian Dvorak market looks like, but that, at least starts the dialogue.
And it's a proven NHL center at a cost-controlled contract, less than what Kotkaniemi just got offer sheeted for. So Montreal could work this in their favor still, but we get the fun of Kotkaniemi actually going to Carolina via an offer sheet. And then it opens up the options to Montreal because Kotkaniemi has been in the league for 2 years. It's crazy to think he's still only 20. So right now what Kotkaniemi is an all right number 3, but he's young enough that you can sit there and go, yeah, but he could get better. And the argument is, yeah, but what if he doesn't? So there's so many variables here. It's actually a legitimately fun thought exercise whether or not they should match.
Add the layer 2. We're talking about the Montreal Canadiens who are coming off of a Stanley Cup Finals run with a GM who very nearly lost his job if they didn't squeeze into the playoffs and do what they did. So he knows he's riding this high, and if he wants to stay or he wants to continue to be employed by the Canadiens, because I heard he's pretty tired of actually GMing, he's got to go for it again. That's really what he signaled. He's going to go for it again. And frankly, I don't know how much I can argue with that. If you just went to the Cup Finals, how can you honestly look your fans and your players in the face and say, yeah, we're going to start rebuilding? I don't necessarily agree with his decision, but I understand how they got there. But if he's going for it again, that's another wrinkle. Can you really afford to lose Kotkaniemi right now?
You absolutely can. Because it circles back to what we were just talking about. Because again, I'm with you. I don't think Montreal's a contender. I don't think they're in a position to contend. I would take the picks and build for the future. But obviously, Bergevin's in a position he can't do that. If they take those picks and turn that into Christian Dvorak, cool. You just advanced 2-3 years in Kotkaniemi's development for this year. Hey, I'm getting the better player right now at the same position for less money.
Yeah.
So he can absolutely play that into he's better now. Now, with Montreal's cap situation, what Kotkaniemi is as a player, I probably still don't match. If we're just going to go into the asset management standpoint of it, because I'm not paying Kotkaniemi 6.1.
Why didn't they just take Brady Tkachuk, man? We don't talk about Hughes.
We're not redoing the top 7 of that draft. But anyways, yeah. So either standpoint that I take on this, okay, I understand Bergevin has to be good this year. I think there's a way you take that first and a third and you turn it into a better player for this year. If you look at the long term, what's best for the Montreal Canadiens, I still think the first and the third round pick are better. I'm not giving up on Kotkaniemi. I think he was horribly mismanaged in Montreal, and going to Carolina is the best thing for him. And I could see him absolutely breaking out. But Montreal's not changing their ways, so he's never going to probably be the player he can be in Montreal. So if they can get a first and a third out of it now, all right, you do it. If I'm Montreal, I'd also be on the phones calling teams. All right, if we match this Kotkaniemi contract, what would you give him for us? Right now, the bid's at a first and a third.
Yeah.
You want to beat that? And then if Montreal really wants to play coy, we'll match it and retain salary. What's the deal now? So there's a lot of angles Bergevin could take on this to play it in his favor. Tougher in a flat cap world, but we've beat that narrative to death. But yeah, this is fun. This is legitimately fun because I don't know what's going to happen here, and a lot of things could happen. Imagine Montreal says, nah, we're going to let him go. They take that first and the third, and those are 2 pieces in a Jack Eichel trade. Oh my God.
That's the thing. I
I'll
hate.
let you know it's Jacques.
Yeah, it's Jacques. Keep up, Brad.
Jacques Eichel. I mean, it's not going to happen, but God, would that be fun?
I never wanted to entertain that conversation. The whole Jack Eichel thing is funny as hell, but the whole to Montreal situation, I was just like, how are they going to possibly do that and pay him? But now I'm like, oh shit, why not? We're getting this wild.
Yeah.
But Eric Engels tweeted,
Oh my God. The most tense 6 minutes in Twitter this offseason.
Jack Eichel's getting on a plane going to Montreal with his hockey gear. And then 6 minutes later, apparently it was like, oh, there's a BioSteel camp in Montreal this weekend.
Oh my God.
Montreal set the city on fire for those 6 minutes.
Preemptively, yes.
And then it was like, oh, God, pulls out the extinguishers. Jeez.
Oh man, hockey Twitter's been crazy the last 24 hours. I missed it.
The only thing I hate about sort of the whole offer sheet thing is how other teams kind of don't do them because it's like faux pas or it's against the old boys club. Like,
Yeah.
I hate that so much. And it's like, do you all work for like one organization? Are you all co-workers? Like you're colleagues, I suppose, in some sense, but you're also adversaries, and you're also, in a performance business where your job is, as long as one day. I just find it so stupid where like they won't offer sheet because like nobody does it, or like there's a revenge offer sheet coming for our attractive RFAs. It's just like, it's a tool in your tool belt. You should use it when the time is right. And I just hate the whole sort of mentality behind we won't offer sheet because if you offer sheet, then we will, or if you don't, we won't. It's like, you just roll the dice. Like you make a calculated decision.
Sportsmanship exists. Like when a player gets hurt on the other team, you go check on him, tap the ice with your sticks. Don't be a dick to each other. Like, it's only on the ice. And it's for stuff that's not in the rules. Like Evan just said, there's a prescribed legal path in the CBA about how to take RFAs from other teams. It's not cheating. So why would this whole...
I know. I hate it so much.
They're afraid of not getting invited to Lou's Christmas party?
Well, I mean, he would... Yeah, that is terrifying. People don't offer sheet Lou Lamoriello. That's a completely different conversation than offer sheeting other teams.
It'll be a hit out on you if you offer sheet Lou.
It's just so dumb. Like, yeah. I hate this, like, we're in it together, but, you're not. You're not at all.
The thought, I shouldn't offer sheet this player because it breaks the code. If that thought ever goes through your head, you should be fired as a GM. If your thought is, hey, I should offer sheet this player, don't know if the contract and the compensation are worth it. Okay, that's the thought you should be having in your head. Because for me, when we talk about the Pettersson offer sheet, I don't give a shit about Jim Benning in this equation. Is it worth it? That should be the only question in your mind. And Waddell and Bergevin both did it. Great. Other GMs have done it in the past, and more GMs should do it in the future. Like, this is the nice thing about the Kotkaniemi one is it's creative. It's the type of offer sheet we never talk about. We're always talking about this superstar player at this 8-year, $11 million offer sheet. This is a 1 year at 6.1.
It's an overpayment intentionally. Who is it? Freege said they probably have a long-term deal in place that comes in under the qualifying offers. So Kotkaniemi, they said, okay, here's a trade-off. You're going to get way too much money this year, and you sign long-term at a more reasonable rate. Yeah. You're still better off.
Yeah, your qualifying offer next year is 6.1, but we're going to sign a 5-year contract at $4.5 million. Are you good with that? I'm good with that. All right, then we'll give you 6.1 this year. It's brilliant, and it's these little workarounds that work. And even though, how many times ever would you say a 1 year offer sheet will not be matched? You'd say every team would match that. But Carolina found the circumstance where it might not happen, and they could get a good player out of it. The conversation is a first and a third worth Kotkaniemi is an argument absolutely worth having. But it is a perfect scenario that they are exploiting. And Kotkaniemi was the third overall pick. He's only 20 years old. There is a lot of room for him to grow as a player still, especially in a better situation. So yeah, in my mind, that first and the third is probably worth it. Especially considering Carolina's probably picking in the 20s. Like, they're crazy if they don't think that's worth it. Now, Montreal with their cap situation, what they think of the player, yada, yada, yada. They're probably having a different conversation for the same value, but it's beautiful. This is more of what teams should be doing, because the Pettersson stuff is fun to talk about, but realistically, very few teams are ever going to be willing to give up 4
someone on the
first-round
Leafs that was like a target for an offer sheet that wasn't
Marner.
one of the. No, it was someone else. Like it was a. I don't think it was Jesperi Kotkaniemi, but it was someone who they're like, oh, we're not really worried about those two, but it's this player. I can't remember who it was, and we had talked about
How
this.
long ago?
Oh God, time is irrelevant since COVID started.
Yeah.
It could be last year, it could be 3 years ago. I'm not sure, but it was somebody where they're like
Nylander? When he was in his holdout?
I think I know what you're talking about. It was like a captain level player where everyone's like, they're so focused on like the Marner, the big name guys.
But they could handcuff them because they're already handcuffed because of the big contracts.
I think it was Kapanen, wasn't it?
Might have been.
Maybe. I wasn't sure if he was an RFA at that time.
Anyways, you find a team who's left their belly exposed, right? Like they're unprotected because they're...
Thanks to COVID, I leave mine exposed all the time.
I was at home this weekend and my mom goes, so how's that home gym? I was like, jeez, Mom.
Thanks.
I'm working on it.
But no, because like you can... Where you screw yourself on the cap is always long-term contracts. So hypothetically, the Red Wings have what, like 20 million cap space right now? They could, what's the max a player can sign for in the NHL right now? 16.5 mil or something like that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't the Red Wings, like, not that they should or would, but like they could go to Elias Pettersson right now and go, 1 year, 16.5 million. Good luck finding that cap space, Benning. And obviously 16.5 for 1 year for Pettersson is a massive overpay. But like Carolina has supposedly done with Kotkaniemi, if you already have the rough framework of an extension in mind that is not $16.5 million, that qualifying offer doesn't matter as much, right? So it's beautiful the way Carolina worked this out. It's just, we're going to pay this guy too much for 1 year, and hey, we might get a second line center out of this for a first and a third. How many teams wouldn't pay a late first and a third round pick for a second line center? Nobody. Everybody would do that.
Second line center of the future, because let me just say...
He's 20.
21.
Same thing.
Because he would be behind Aho. He's definitely behind Trocheck, as long as Trocheck's playing center. And I mean, depending on how the season's going and what Jordan Stahl is doing.
They are not giving up a first and a third to play Kotkaniemi on their fourth line.
They might, man. They're just memeing right now.
Well, the nice thing is they've got the options to play him wherever they want.
Yeah. You want to flip into the wing until he's more
find
comfortable?
very favorable matchups for him if they want.
Work on his skating, work on everything to help him develop as a player.
And they play a style and system that is far more favorable to Kotkaniemi's game.
Who is mowing their lawn while it's 90 degrees out?
A psychopath.
God damn. Anyhow, okay. Would you do it, and what do you think Bergevin will do?
Which team am I?
Montreal.
Would am I pretending I am Marc Bergevin, or am I taking Marc Bergevin's job here? Because that's two different answers.
You're doing both sides of it. What do you think Bergevin would do?
I think Bergevin's going to match. If I was in his position, though, I probably wouldn't. I think Bergevin's not going to match. If I was him, I probably would.
You would match?
I like Kotkaniemi. I think there's something there, but I also wouldn't freaking deploy him like the Canadiens have been. And I wouldn't scratch him in the finals, and I wouldn't yo-yo him in and out of the lineup, and I wouldn't force this like ridiculously heavy defensive system down his throat. So if I have full control, I would want to keep Kotkaniemi because, again, Carolina is a good team. They're probably going to be in the upper half of the standings, which means you're getting a late first-round pick out of that. And again, people overvalue late first-round picks heavily. Very few of them turn into impact players. Even if Jesperi Kotkaniemi is nothing more than a third-line center, that's a pretty acceptable result for a late first-round pick more often than not, right? So, yeah, the contract sucks, and you kind of got to have a good idea of what his extension is going to be. So, I would keep Kotkaniemi, understanding what Montreal values as an organization and the position they're in. Yeah, it makes sense to let him walk. So in the full context of the situation, it's probably better they let him walk.
Okay.
If I'm Marc Bergevin, I definitely see what a first and a third is going to get me for a centerman around the league.
Absolutely.
That definitely would change my answer. If they can get somebody half decent, they think can play second line center, you take the picks. If they call around and teams aren't interested at all, which could be possible, then I resign or I match and take Kotkaniemi.
Now that I've heard both of you say it, I think the answer here is that I also
know Mark Bergevin is definitely the type of guy who gets pissed about these sort of things and would do a knee-jerk reaction and just match it just to end it.
Yeah, I think he's emotional. I think he's proud.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, every player here, like no one in Carolina is a very level-headed person right now.
Because there is something to be said about Montreal offer sheeting for Aho, Carolina offer sheeting for Kotkaniemi, and then Carolina ending up with Aho and Kotkaniemi.
Yeah. I think Bergevin matches for the reason Evan just stated. And depending on what you're allowed to do, I don't know what you could practically get away with tampering or what the actual rules are, because I think right now Kotkaniemi is actually Hurricanes property. He's in limbo. Talk to him and see if you can't work out a long-term deal too. That isn't at 6.1, but if, like Brad said, between 4.5 and 5 million a year for however many years, say, okay, we'll sign you to that, buddy, and you're gonna fucking live up to it.
I think he'll get traded after the 1 year. I think there's a good precedence of guys who sign offer sheets with or get matched end up somewhere else. Like Shea Weber got traded after he matched rather soon.
O'Reilly did too.
Ryan O'Reilly. He got the worst end of the stick. He got sent to Buffalo.
Yeah.
He ended up with a cup out of it, I'm sure he's.
There's been more, but those are the only two I can really
Vanek out of Buffalo?
Yeah, well, he won that one. So there's a high chance they just, match it, and they're like, all right, first and third is the starting price for Kotkaniemi.
Well, anyways, by next episode, we're going to know how this one unfolds. So thank you again, Carolina and Montreal, for the entertainment. Speaking of Carolina, Andrei Svechnikov signed an 8-year, $7.75 million contract at age 21. So they are literally buying all of his best years for almost all of it will be well below market value.
Phenomenal deal for Carolina.
Carolina's off, signing Nedeljkovic, losing Nedeljkovic sucked, and losing Hamilton sucked. But this piece of work with Kotkaniemi, which, I mean, it's an overpayment, and then getting Svechnikov, that Svechnikov deal, if I'm a Carolina Hurricanes fan, I'm happy no matter what. I'm happy regardless of everything else that's happened. I don't understand that from Svechnikov's point of view. I get it. You're young. That's a lot of money. You want to win with this team. You're looking at the formula where you're like, I can't take up all of the cash, whatever, blah, blah, blah. He's leaving a lot of money on the table here.
Yeah, you either get the money or the term, and he got sort of neither. I mean, he did get a lot of money. Let's be honest. That's a shitload of money.
He got max term, so.
Here's the thing. Yes, it's a lot of money, but I don't like when these conversations boil down into, but think of how much money that is for a kid where he grew up without a lot, or like they've never seen that many millions. Yeah, totally. But you're not an accountant being offered $7.75 million a year.
When you look down the street and some guy just like you is making $2 million more a year.
Yeah.
That's an extra $16 million.
Yeah. I no qualms. I don't think this is as bad as Nathan McKinnon taking like a third of what he should be making.
So my pocket lint and $5 million.
Yeah. But no, that is fantastic work by Carolina. And if you are going to recover after the offseason that they've had, that is one hell of a way to do it. Like, great recovery. You know that's going to piss some agents and the PA and a lot of young
Oh my
off.
God. Again, it's that same fucking comment about the old kumbaya around the fire, around the campfire. Like, who cares? But yeah, totally.
I mean, hey, look, if Yzerman signed... We don't have an Andrei Svechnikov. If Yzerman signed Detroit's equivalent of Andrei Svechnikov of the future to this, we'd be over the moon and happy about it. So it's not like we're railing on Svechnikov. Hey, if the guy wins a cup and to him he's like, yeah, the cup is worth the extra $2 million a year, he wins. He's not going to be poor. I'm not crying for him. He's not going to have to,
he'll be okay.
No cans over the campfire.
He'll be okay.
Here. Yeah.
He might have sacrificed $2 million per year, give or take, just so he can wear the Hartford Whalers jersey a few times a year.
Yeah, that's
worth at least $1 million.
Turns out all these players are taking discounts, so Dundon will just pay the support staff properly. He's like, you're paying the janitor $10,000 a year, Tom. Do you think you could up that a little bit?
No, they're all saying we will knock off $1 million a year, but you have to offer sheet someone every summer.
Just because it's funny. Okay. That's a lot about Carolina. Let's talk a little bit about the Red Wings.
Something happened?
Not really. Keith Petruzzelli is it's a conversation. Let's preface this by saying it doesn't matter. This is news. It's the offseason, so we're going to talk about it. But no Red Wings fan, nor are we stressed about this. The Red Wings have Nedeljkovic for now. The Red Wings have Sebastian Cossa for the future. Still, when Petruzzelli left, it pissed a lot of people off because he took his years in the NCAA and then used the loophole to walk away in free agency. Now, there have been varying degrees of rumors here where I'm not sure exactly what to believe, but for the most part, it seems like he wanted to go back to Mass to, go try out for Boston at their pro camp or whatever it is, to see if he could play closer to home. Now, I have also heard chatter about Yzerman wasn't too keen on Petruzzelli. And he wasn't keen on moving Petruzzelli through the Red Wings system so fast. And at most, he offered him an AHL deal. I've heard that there wasn't an offer at all. Like, they just couldn't come to terms. But still, none of that's confirmed. I haven't been able to confirm any of that for myself. Keith Petruzzelli has signed an AHL deal with the Toronto Marlies. So is it plausible here that Petruzzelli was offered only an AHL contract with the Red Wings? He said, look, I'm a Boston kid. I don't even want to be doing this right now. I'm not a big fan of what the Red Wings have going on. I'm going to go try to make it in Boston. No prospects for him there. He realized he needs some kind of pro contract, and he settled with Toronto.
No, I don't think that's what happened.
You think he just wanted out of Detroit completely? This is all Petruzzelli?
A little bit, yeah. That's the impression I'm getting, because I don't think the Boston thing was ever super legit, because Boston, before they traded Vladar like a month ago, they were super deep in net. Between Rask, Swayman, Halak's gone now, but Vladar, Boston wasn't a goalie-needy team, and two of those guys were young, so Petruzzelli's probably looking at that opportunity and going, yeah, there isn't one. We talked about how, hey, up until very recently, if you're a goalie and you need a goalie-needy team, Detroit was your final destination. So it was weird that he didn't want to sign here, which leads me to believe maybe Yzerman wasn't so keen. But I think, in situations like this, I always try to harken back to Occam's razor, because sometimes the simplest solution is often the correct one. Toronto's also a goalie-needy team who's better than Detroit. He probably looked at this and went, okay, they also don't have a lot of depth in net, but they're 5 years ahead of where Detroit is right now, so I'm going to go there.
If that's the case, that's totally fine. Keith, I wish you the most Toronto you can possibly have in your future.
A lot of first.
Hope you have the best Toronto experience you can.
I hope it's absolutely the quintessential Maple Leafs time of your life.
Yep.
Because that's what you deserve. I don't know. I'm still digging on this. I don't really know much. But if it's what you said, Brad, and it's his choice, okay, buddy. Glad you ended up where you did. Best of luck.
Yeah, because there's not a lot. Most organizations are pretty deep in net, and there are very few who aren't. Detroit and Toronto are two of the ones that weren't. I don't know if Nedeljkovic and Cossa swayed his decision, but it seemed like it really wasn't going anywhere before we had them. So I don't think that had a lot to do with it. It seemed like it was a foregone conclusion that he was leaving a while ago. But yeah, I don't know. I guess if you want to have an opportunity and have a chance to win, Toronto does make sense, because Mrazek's under a 3-year contract. Campbell doesn't have that much longer. Neither of them are bona fide superstars. I'm struggling to think of who Toronto has for goaltending, even in their system. So yeah, it makes sense, because if Petruzzelli goes, 2 years in the AHL, and then I could walk up to the Leafs and play behind that team, it's a great opportunity. He's not wrong if that's what he's thinking. So that's the best guess I have.
Good news is we don't have to care. Alex Nedeljkovic now, Sebastian Cossa later.
Yeah, Petruzzelli's dead to us.
Yep. Dom Loose Chicken of The Athletic put out his usual fan confidence polls in the front offices and GMs, and across both public opinion and the fan base of the Red Wings, and Steve Yzerman's front office ranked third.
Who is first and second?
Tampa Bay. And you can guess the second one?
Nope.
Come on. We'll give you 3.
We'll give you 3 guesses.
Carolina.
No.
Nope.
Florida?
No, they were fourth.
But that's a good one.
I was going to say all 6 fans really chimed in on that one.
They're probably going to win the cup next year.
Vegas?
No, but I think that's also a good answer. Colorado.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
But yeah, Detroit, obviously you go Tampa, Colorado, you're like, okay, 2 cup contenders or cup winners. And then Detroit, and people are like, hey, but it's okay. First of all, it's a fan confidence poll. It's a public opinion poll.
It's not who has the best team. It's how confident we are in
Do you trust one of the greatest players of all time who you watched in your generation lead the team?
Do you trust one of the best GMs in the NHL the last 10 years to do his job as a GM?
So a lot of times I think teams do really overrate their GM. And if this was 2 years ago and we were literally like months into Yzerman being GM of the Red Wings, I'd say, okay, I can understand Red Wings fans being excited, but this is it'd be a bit much. You'd have to have a giant asterisk. But after 2 and a half-ish years, 2 and a third years, this is what's happened. Steve Yzerman's team that he just left in Tampa Bay won the cup
twice.
And then the next year, Steve Yzerman's team that he just left in Tampa Bay won the cup again, which is insanely hard to do in hockey. And Steve Yzerman has rid the Detroit Red Wings of virtually every single bad anchor contract that they have and has brought this team in the cap era, which has been restricted by 11 million different factors, internal and external, to a blank slate. So yes, it is well deserved. It's not a big, long topic, but I just wanted to say I have no qualms saying as a bias or trying to, remove all subjectivity. Either way, I can understand this completely, and I would vote the same way.
He has the world of cap space when cap space is at an all-time premium. He has a cupboard full of draft picks, one of the strongest prospect pools in the NHL, and has turned the roster over so that they're younger, better, and in a great position. Has won almost every trade he's made. Got Adam Ernie, who now looks like a usable good bottom 6 forward for a 4th-round pick. Got Pius Suter, who could be a second-line center for basically nothing. Got potentially the starting goaltender of the future for basically nothing. And made several other small moves that have worked out in their favor. What is there not to be confident in? My literally only argument of Yzerman's tenure where I can go, I don't know what we're doing here, is coaching. Everything else has been perfect in a rebuild. Now, if your prospects don't, obviously the asterisk in a rebuild is if your prospects don't hit, it's all for naught anyway. But understanding that, what more could he have done?
There's two things that are going to dictate how this moves going forward. How's Simon Edvinsson going to play out?
And Raymond and Seider and Nedeljkovic and Kosa. There's a lot.
No. But
riding on those kids.
I think the Seider pick, I'm not going to say like that's not Yzerman because he just came in. He still made the pick. I think Seider and Edvinsson, those are 2 picks where he went not necessarily off the board. I think Edvinsson was very much on the board consensus wise, but there were other players there where that might have been, in some people's eyes, the more sensible pick. Raymond was that was a no-brainer.
Raymond, there was a lot of rumors for other players, but like in terms of talent, Raymond was the obvious pick at that point.
And also now that you have a blank slate, the hard part is moving forward. What do you do? So how those players pan out, like you said, and then how do you construct the roster now that you're no longer getting rid of someone else's rot? And yeah, fair, but we just got there. So let's see in the next few years. Also, what are the worst moves he's made? The 2 ones where I can think of that could get any honest criticism: dealing Alec Regula for Perlini, was a non-factor, and that was just a failed experiment. So you got rid of Alec Regula for nothing, and giving up the 3rd of your 3 second-round picks for Nick Leddy when the Islanders were strapped to the cap, and you probably didn't have to give up that much, but still they needed a good left shot defenseman, because they have really good young right shot defensemen who need good players to play with.
Objectively, the trade for Leddy was good. It was just the context of where the Red Wings are that makes the trade iffy.
So if that's all your GM has ended up with, this isn't to say Yzerman's infallible and it's going to be, well, okay. I still don't give a shit about who the coach is right now.
Yeah.
Hey, did you see he was playing with Tom Izzo, Jack Nicholson and Lee Trevino?
No, that's cool though.
In a charity event, yeah.
That's really cool.
Blashill's actually got a decent swing on him. I mean, we've got a lot of practice the past.
Yeah.
under his tenure, but not a bad swing.
Man.
But look at the Red Wings roster this year. They're not a good team. I think we all know this. But every player on this team is either on their entry-level contract or a relatively young player on a really good contract. Is there anybody of value over the age of 26 on this team? No. Look at what Bertuzzi, Larkin, Verona are signed for. Nobody. Those are either going to be very key pieces of the future or very valuable trade pieces because of who they are as players and the contracts they're attached to. So, yeah, no, the Red Wings are in a fantastic position. Again, the only thing I hate about the rebuild is it all hinges on the scouts. If Raymond, Seider, Edmondson, Kosa, if 2 or 3 of those guys miss, we're still screwed. But still.
Regardless, I mean, I know some people don't like the fawning over Yzerman, and some people can't say enough about it. It's just to say fans have every reason to be confident right now. Doesn't matter what camp you fall in, you have to at least say this isn't a doom and gloom team if you're a fan of a team managed by, I don't know, Ken Holland. Just to pick a random team.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, it's weird. Edmonton's long-term future looks great, doesn't it? Anyway.
The Olympics. Everyone wants to see the NHL back at the Olympics for the most part. It looks like that deal is very, very close. It's not signed and sealed. There's no official announcement, and we've seen it get close before and not come through. But that is something that I hope we can all look forward to. I just miss Olympic hockey so much. And it's been... We haven't covered one on this podcast because it was 8 years ago. No, more than 8 years ago. What am I saying?
2014.
Yeah, that was before. Yeah, 8 years ago. 8 years ago was the last one. We didn't
with NHL players.
Yeah.
No.
Yep, 2014 with NHL players, and this podcast wasn't live yet.
Yeah,
because we started a year later. So please, let's figure this out. NHL, IOC, quit being dicks. Just do the thing. All right, we're gonna jump into overtime here. Overtime on this episode of the Winged Wheel Podcast is brought to you by our Patreon supporters, patreon.com/Winged Wheel Podcast. We hope you guys like our half drunk, half delirious because we're tired bonus episodes that we're putting on in the midweek, even during the off season. If you have ideas for those, by all means, let us know.
I need a listener in the United States to contact me and purchase me Costco golf gloves.
Oh, do they have them right now?
Only in the States.
2 sets, please. I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I need a right-handed glove for a left-handed golfer, size medium.
Okay.
Speaking of, Evan, why is everybody on Twitter freaking out about golf right now?
There was a tournament today, and I haven't watched it, but there was some crazy drama going on.
Okay, right now everybody's saying this is the greatest golf tournament ever. This is crazy.
That's
what the hell
definitely not true.
Golf doesn't get better than this.
Listen, it's the FedEx playoff, I think, and no one cares about the.
What an awesome golf tournament! This is insanity on a golf course. Yeah, people are losing it right now, Evan. What's happening?
Please contact me. I will arrange payment and shipping because I have no golf gloves anymore.
Brad, if you have an infraction like that again, there will be punitive damages. Only Evan is allowed the 90-second segues into golf talk.
I want to know what's happening, so I'm trying to get some golf talk out of Evan here, Ryan.
Oh, then the fourth playoff hole and Bryson just shot it in the water.
No, what a wiener.
We're going to get into overtime. Patreon.com/Winged Podcast if you want more of this bullshit. Mark Likes Hockey says, why would a player sign an offer sheet with a $20 signing bonus? Because it's hilarious. Because he's already getting overpaid by $3 million. So they're saying, hey, that's you're not getting the signing bonus, but you're going to get...
There's 4 or 5 digits before the 20?
Yeah. Ryan Dodds, who I believe is a new patron. Welcome, Ryan, to the Winged Wheel Podcast family. I like your name. Says, hear ye, the time has come to give you numbskulls my money. And especially to officially join this great community, my first question is going to be, if you had to choose, would you rather... Oh, this is an easy answer for me. Would you rather spend a night dressed on the Red Wings roster or have a beer with Mickey Redmond and Ken Daniels? Hey, look.
Hold on. I need context. Am I actually playing in that game where I'm dressed?
I mean, do I
get to participate in warm up, step on the ice for a couple shifts?
Well, you gotta get him warm ups.
Bro, right? I'd rather not play.
Yeah, me too.
No, I would. I couldn't. like, that's been my dream since I was 2 years old, was to play on the Red Wings. So, like, I can't not take that. As much as I love Ken and Mick, I can't not play for the Red Wings.
Ken, Mick, I'm choosing the beer with you because I know I'm going to get blown up, and that GIF is never going to stop playing for the rest of my life.
Worth it. Absolutely worth it.
And I am far too proud of a person to live with that. So I'll take the beer. Let's make it many beers, and we'll go from there. But I am absolutely not taking the ice.
I am perfectly comfortable keeping my stick at my hips and nobody gives me the puck and I just get to skate up and down the ice a few times. Totally fine with it.
What would you rather, Evan?
I mean, probably play for the Red Wings. That's no slight against Ken and Mick. It's just, I'm sure they'd pick the same thing.
Carter Mazer Stan Club says, I was just trying to do some funny meme things, and I wound up buying a 2003 Ford Taurus for $6.1 million. Am I dumb? Sean Stephen Cook. This is more like a 2022, like Ford F-150 Lightning, like the electric ones, but with none of the features. That's essentially what you're buying for too much money right now. I hate how much that was accurate. Sean Stephen Cook said, Ford, send us money. Sean Stephen Cook says, if Montreal matches the offer sheet, do you think Kotkaniemi gets the Nylander treatment in Montreal?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Yes. And I guess fair, but also, can you really blame the guy?
No, we didn't even mention the part of where Darren Drigger was reporting that a lot of people thought that after the healthy scratch in the finals, that was the last game Kotkaniemi played for Montreal.
Really?
Trade. They figured it would be by trade because, yeah, I guess he was. He didn't say it was because Kotkaniemi was pissed, but like reading between the lines, yeah, Kotkaniemi was pissed. Like, it was a dumb decision, to be fair, but still.
Tony Ohio Dollar Bills says, if you could offer sheet a host from another podcast, who would it be? Oh, Adam or Jesse, for sure.
You're just saying Jesse so you can get the audio knowledge there from the.
What do you mean?
Jesse?
Yeah,
because he does all their audio cleanup and engineering stuff.
I didn't know that.
Oh,
I always thought they paid someone.
Okay.
Actually, I think we still have yet to ever have Adam and Jesse on the show. It's only ever been Steve.
It's only been Steve.
Is it? Do we smell?
Maybe.
Anyways,
a little bit. Merrick, just so someone can go down all the same ridiculous paths that I like to go down.
Actually, Freed, just so we can get. We could be the source of information.
Yeah.
Would you feel obligated to match any offer sheet made to Evan? No. Are you kidding? This guy's a liability.
I'd be signing that offer sheet immediately.
If we got a first and a third for Evan, Evan, see you later.
I can see reading it. We have signed Evan to an offer sheet. Your competition is take him.
Yeah, take him.
Take him.
See you later.
Don't you want to know what you're getting? No, it's fine.
That'll be your downfall, not mine.
We'll start, 20 minutes earlier every episode? No, I'm kidding. We love Evan, and annoyingly, he is the most popular of us, and we're just
by far
petty and vengeful. New Patreon member, and I just wanted to say thanks for the hours of entertainment. A truck driver who spends 10 hours a night driving. You gents help keep me going. Tony, welcome. Thank you so much for the support. Apologies about the Ohio thing. Just kidding. I'm never sorry about what I say about Ohio.
Little League World Series champions. Michigan took out Ohio in the championship game today.
And I just want to say,
we'll take every victory we can get.
That matters more than any other college sports, let's say. Misconduct Racing says, has anyone started a GoFundMe or similar to get Roe into LCA for the Winged Wheel podcast night? Yeah, we're currently petitioning the Australian government to let him out of the country. Jake Bloom says, let's hear your predictions on how many off seasons away the Red Wings are from making the first big free agent splash in the Yzerman era. Bonus points for guessing the UFA. Oh.
Next summer, Barkov.
I will say 2 summers away from now. I'll say 2 summers away, and I don't know the UFA. I have to look who the UFAs are.
Next summer, Barkov.
This is where having my computer would really help me out.
2 summers from now, and it will be... There's not a lot of really good UFAs. Johnny Gaudreau? No, they don't need another winger. I don't know.
They need a center, like Alex Barkov.
Oh, no, I'm looking at the wrong offseason. 2020. Yeah, okay.
Ryan, what sound does a dog make?
Barkov. Colorado 14er says, what do you believe Bettman thinks of what Don Waddell pulled on Saturday, as well as the way he went about it? I loved it. I think you all loved it. And I think most fans in the NHL media loved it. It kind of makes me think that Bettman hated it. And when Bettman hates something, it usually goes away. I think, sadly, you are extremely right.
I think Bettman doesn't give a shit. If they're all abiding by the rules, he could care less what happens.
Should I tell him or should you?
There, you could do it this time.
How much less? Oh, God.
That won't get old.
It won't.
You know, we need to, when that happens on the video, I'm just going to put the picture of LeBron celebrating with Dwayne Wade. It's one of the two's dunking, but it's the alley-oop, the Wade, LeBron and Wade alley-oop, one of them in the air, the other one arms out. That's us whenever we correct Brad on the podcast.
God.
This started as me being sad that I'm like, oh, I did it again, and here's their free dunk. And then how much you guys are proud of it, I think has circled back around to, if this makes you guys this excited, is that really something against me or you guys?
Yes. Yeah. Mike Caviani says, what's up, fellas? First time posting since recently becoming a patron. Mike, thank you so much and welcome to the podcast, Winged Wheel podcast family. Says, been a listener for years. Couldn't imagine what being a Wings fan during this rebuild would be like without you three. To commemorate, this is awesome. To commemorate my first post and becoming a patron, I went ahead and donated $50 to the Jamie Daniels Foundation. Mike, that is amazing. Thank you so much for supporting such a great cause. Random note, I don't have time for pods, so I pretty exclusively listen to you guys only at 1.4 playback speed. It helps speed through Evan's golf rambles and the in-depth discussions about obscure Canadian Amateur League third jerseys. I kid because I love. I finally listened to regular speed during the last Quick Hits episode, and you guys sounded wasted since I'm used to the sped up speed. Now I'm formally requesting a Patreon exclusive episode where you guys get drunk and record a game recap. Make it happen. I'm sure we can do it.
I cannot get drunk anymore because my hangovers last weeks.
We don't drink on this podcast. What are you guys talking about?
We've actually wanted to do it for a while, but Brad keeps having kids and they keep being young and needing attention from their parents. And we need Crystal to not hate us.
Yeah.
Stephen Fairbrother says, if you could redo the trade again, would you trade Verona back to Washington for Mantha 1-for-1? If not, which team would have to throw in a sweetener?
Understanding what the Red Wings organization pretty much thought of Mantha, probably not. I'd probably ride with Verona. And I think the fact that he's 2 years younger also does play a pretty heavy factor in it.
Evan's bingo card says the pettiness by the Canes is amazing. What would be the equivalent for the Wings in this same scenario? If you can't think of anything, come up with a creative offer sheet for someone in the same funny light that the Canes did with Kotkaniemi. Keep up the great work, boys.
I mean, Pettersson for like 16.5 mil.
I think Pettersson for just under the 4. I think you do Pettersson for the 2 firsts, a second, and a third compensation.
I think Vancouver matches that in a heartbeat, though. That's the problem.
Well, shit, then. 5 years at 10.3.
Because if I'm sitting here and going, absolutely, I would do that for Pettersson without thinking twice, then of course Vancouver is going to be thinking the same thing.
I wish Quinn Hughes.
If it's not a conflict in your head, it generally means the team's absolutely going to match it.
I wish Quinn Hughes was offer sheetable. It'd be fun. Drake Morris has been listening since right after the Cider draft and finally decided to become a patron. Love the work you guys do, but I really became a supporter because it's getting more and more difficult to ask you guys questions on Twitter. Hey man, off season, I'm tuning out like I'm Evan half the time. This is day number 1 of asking you guys to post a Cider draft reaction on YouTube. Right. Okay. So that's on a hard drive somewhere. It's not actually on YouTube anymore. It's going to go back up soon. I wonder how many days I'm going to make you wait. Adam Bybee says, have been listening since 2017 and figured it was embarrassing the volume of content that I've consumed without paying for it. So here we are. I really appreciate everyone. I just want to say, like Drake, Adam, everyone else, this is awesome.
4 years of listening to us and your thought was to give us money? Are you all right, man? You know who we are as people by this point.
One of my favorite pastimes is going through prospect lists for the upcoming draft and finding the best names. Front runners so far for 2022 outside of McGroarty are Jimmy Snuggerud and Dennis Goodbog. Dennis Goodbog is awesome.
Yeah, it's Snuggerud. His dad played in the NHL, so I know that name. And Goodbod is just so not Evan, so I love it.
Yeah. King Tone says, hey guys, really enjoying the pod. What are 3 prospects from 2022 that you'd like the Red Wings to draft that aren't Shane Wright? Remember to stay safe, eat right, and just chill till the next episode.
Brad Lambert. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank on the 2 Russian kids.
I was going to say Savoy. No, Savoy is
going to be a top 10 guy. Yeah. He's fallen out of like unanimous top 3, but those 2 Russian kids, the one with the really long name and the one with the not so long name, I've watched them like 100 times already. How am I forgetting this? Just pull up any 2022 list. They'll be in the top 10.
List of all 2020.
Miroshnichenko.
Not
Ivan Miroshnichenko.
Patrick Suck.
Daniil.
Oh, yeah. Miroshnichenko?
Yeah, and Daniil.
I got nothing here. I don't know what you're talking about, Brad. You look it up, buddy. It's not on this list. I thought you were making up players.
I will find it. Go to the next question, and then I will finish answering it.
And I'm Devin says it's lights out and away we sit and wait for the rain. The Perez wreck before the race started at least gave some entertainment during the delay. Question of the day, is there a more perfect theme song than the F1 theme? Are there any sports intros theme songs that truly get you hyped for what is to come? Okay, I love the F1 intro. Love it. I also found out that they used to use the chain for their intro, which is badass. I think the old ESPN intro, and honestly, Hockey Night in Canada is just so nostalgic. And even like Michigan listeners, I know a lot of you guys would get Hockey Night in Canada over the airwaves. So just love that intro so much. Mark Burnham says, if the Red Wings suddenly poofed out of existence and you had to become a fan of either Toronto or Buffalo, who would you? Buffalo.
Buffalo. I already cheer for the Bills.
100% Buffalo. They got big Detroit vibes.
They do.
You're off. Danilo, you're off.
Oh, yeah, actually, I should have known that one. Buffalo, I don't care about who's on the team or what. That's going to come and go. Buffalo, just because you can't give Toronto any more support. Bananas Larger says, hey fellas, all pettiness aside, did Carolina unlock a new way to handle mid-tier RFAs? The 1-year contract is interesting, overpay for a year, then renegotiate a longer deal since you have the rights. I personally like Anthony Cirelli. Overpay $8.2 million instead of $6.1. Sure, you lose a second rounder, but now he's your RFA. You then have negotiating rights. You then re-sign him to a longer and lower AAV, or someone else offer sheets to them and you get picks back. This seems like a viable move. That's really interesting.
So here's the thing. The qualifying offer is what keeps them an RFA. You have to remember that. That's the catch with Kotkaniemi, because if Carolina chooses to not qualify him at 6.1, he is then not an RFA. He is then a UFA. That is the minimum that he is staying with your team for, unless you negotiate a lower contract before that time is due.
Thank you, Brett, for that question. Jonathan Melwish says, hey guys, what team would you choose this season for an all or nothing series? Toronto again, because that would be funny. Florida, I think, would be a really good one that they might actually get access behind the scenes for that. Or honestly,
Buffalo.
Yeah. Like whoever's there, like if Eichel's still there, like even if he's not, you just have this team of ragtag misfits who aren't really supposed to be an NHL team this year. That'd be a good one.
You got to find the teams that like are supposed to be good, but have a lot. Montreal actually would be good for this one.
Ruthless and Toothless says, these are my power play lines. First is Larkin, Ronick, Verona on the flanks, Burt at the net, and Leddy. Second is Suter, Zadina, and Robbie on the flanks, Rass at the net, and Troy or Sider if warranted. What do you think?
First power play unit, I go left flank, Zadina, Larkin, bumper, Verona right, Bertuzzi net front with Leddy at the point, and then second unit, I don't care.
Nick Amalfi says, is this Belgian Grand Prix ever going to start? Hashtag let's go Max. Well, I mean, technically it did. I would explain to you guys what happened today in Formula One, and it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. The rain was so bad they couldn't start the race. You know what they did? They did 2 laps behind the safety car, which means you have to follow the safety car, no overtaking. It's not actual racing. It's just a procession. And then they red flagged, which means they stopped the race. So what they really did is you needed 2 laps for the race to officially happen. They said, okay, race is over. The order they qualified in is the order that they finished in, and they gave everyone half points. There was no actual racing, and they called it a race. It's the biggest bullshit in the world.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of.
The biggest farce, they waited almost 4 hours to do this.
Okay, so hypothetically, if the weather didn't let up at all today, what was the alternative?
The weather didn't even let up behind the safety car. Like, it was risky to do it behind it. They would have just outright canceled it or try the next day. But the track marshals mostly are volunteers, since they were like, these people have work on Monday. and we have to be in the Netherlands for Thursday. So
basically it was award bullshit points or cancel it entirely.
You want to know why they did it? So they can tell people who attended that the race happened, so no refunds.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
Yeah, that is dumb.
Cody Starks is introducing the newest member of the ice crew for the University of North Dakota men's hockey games. If I wore my goalie skates, I'd probably faceplant with the shovel about 7 times in front of the 11,000 fans, but I'm wearing my player skates, so I only faceplant 3 times. Hey, that's badass. That's cool as hell. Congrats, Cody. I thought you were going to introduce another baby. I was like, Cody, slow down. Mike Franklin is asking about the ranking on Dom Loose Chicken's front office confidence. Red Wings fan confidence aside, do you think the top 3 is warranted? How much of that is from the Lightning tenure and how much of that is from the Wings? I'm not against it, but it seems like he's getting a lot of credit for not doing Ken Holland things TM. You're probably not wrong, but it seems like when half the league is doing Ken Holland things, it goes a long way.
Yeah.
The pedigree does lean into it a lot, and I don't necessarily think that's wrong. Matt S. says, I'm so happy to see tit-for-tat offer sheet stuff happening between the Canes and the Habs. We need more. This reminds me of the Canes giving an offer sheet to Fedorov in 98, which we didn't even mention today, with the conference finals bonus. Mike Ilitch took out a loan, gave him the double birds, and matched it. Keep up the good work as always, dub-dubs. The Caminator, hey, congratulations. Got married yesterday. He says, got married to the love of my life. Now off to Jamaica for the honeymoon. Hopefully nothing big happens when we are gone. Oh, it will. So thank you for your sacrifice. But hey, enjoy the honeymoon and never stop dating your husband or wife. Lars, the prophet of the towering behemoth, says, I don't know why I said that so confidently. I heard it in Ted Lasso, and I thought, yeah, that's a good line. I'll say it to people. I'm not even married. Why did I say that so confidently?
Okay.
Do you watch Ted Lasso?
No.
You should.
No.
Evan?
I feel like the entire thing has been spoiled for me on Twitter already. What is there to watch?
It's not like a...
I've heard it was quite good, but I've not watched it.
It's good for the soul. Lars, the prophet of the towering behemoth, says, we just lost a goaler pick to the bloody Marlies. Mr. Petruzzelli, we never loved you anyways. League maximum fine of $5 says, in a world of lowered compensation for offer sheets, how low would the compensation be to see good odds of Stevie sending for Pettersson?
If the compensation's low, there's no way Vancouver doesn't match. Always remember that. They're not letting Pettersson go for like a first.
He means like the I see what you're saying.
There's no way Vancouver's letting him go, and all they get in return is like a first and a fourth. Like, no.
Victoria Beaver says, "Hey, emotional support himbos. Big news from Texas." Thank you for that. I love that's the best title anyone's ever given me. Emotional support himbo. That is my favorite shit. Big news from Texas. After a week of driving around the Midwest, watching race cars and listening to old draft episodes, I returned to work and gave them my 2 months notice. This gives me the time and freedom to work on converting the 2004 school bus I bought at the start of August. The plan is to be able to begin my lap around America next year, where I get to cover auto racing full time with my dad. Can't wait to see how many Wings games get blacked out as I travel from market to market. Victoria, that's cool as hell. Please keep us posted on the progress on the conversion. AJ Voss says, I hope these offer sheet shenanigans snowball as the years go on and we eventually end up with someone signing a $4 by $20 million contract with a $69 signing bonus. We should be so lucky. Time for a Reddit question. Helmhand says, the Wings still have a couple of open roster spots. What moves, free agency or trades, do you see the Wings making to add some depth to the roster? And what would you do to add depth?
There's open roster spots.
Maybe on left defense? They're not open. Like, there's bodies in there, but...
I could see adding an extra forward, but to me, the obvious answer there is just Bobby Ryan.
I don't want to add anyone else of consequence. I don't want this team to go...
No, I want the young guys to be the call-ups, because that's what young guys should be at their stage in the development. I don't want, a Dominic Turgeon hypothetically type player or a Luke Witkowski coming up when... hypothetically Michael Rasmussen gets hurt. That should be a Veleno. That should be a Chase Pearson. That should be a Jonathan Berggren. Like, hey, here's your cup of tea. Get your feet wet. Okay, go back. We'll see you in 2 months.
Yeah.
And you can always add players at point of injury. Hey, we're going to go trade a 6th-round pick for this depth forward.
All right. Let's wrap up. There's going to be a midweek episode for patrons. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Stay tuned for more news about the event. It should be within the next week or two where we'll have the specific link to the Winged Wheel podcast tickets. More on that to come, including some exciting little bonus announcements. I'd like to thank all of our name level sponsors on Patreon. Arjun Shanker, Yves Bartels on behalf of the Sarah Garand Foundation, Kyle Karagitz, Nick Perks, Brett Bailey, Terry Driver of Crying Ryan, Hannah's Banana Slam and Jamathon, Taylor Tadgel, Brendan M., Carl Brutana Nanaluski, Citizen High Five, Clayton Van Dyken, Craig Kibble, Derek Enstum, DJ Denton, Give Blood, Fight Probert, Greach, Hunt.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockey Town Evan.